Most of the things will be given in our preliminary report. As you are aware, it's a process.
Yes, definitely.
And we will be giving a preliminary report immediately after the elections, maybe on the 9th or 10th. But by and large, what I have to say is that we are seeing enthusiasm in the public to the extent that through the media, again, what you're reporting, we're also noticing that very many people are packing and going back to places where they registered, and which is a good thing.
Yes.
To us, we're observing the enthusiasm and so far the calmness, the death of the late Msando notwithstanding, and other criminal cases that have been there. But what we have to say is that so far, the movement of the people from the urban areas to their places of registration for voting is being observed, which is a good thing. But I'll have to say that I can't release any report right now because we have to fully observe the election process. Well, as you are aware that it is culminates into elections.
But you've mentioned the killing of Chris Msando. That is a conversation we continue to have as Kenyans, the timing being very rife and a lot of speculation with regard to his death as observers, and with just 3 days to go to the election. What are you picking out?
Well, to me, I would request the people of Kenya to cool down, because you have a government which is mandated with ensuring the safety of both the property and the citizens of this country, including those they have invited, like us. So I wouldn't see people politicizing a lot, because death is death, and they let them think about the family that has lost before they make and utter any statements.
So what expectations do you have of this particular election as an observer group?
Well, as I said earlier on, we would wish to see a calm and acceptable election, because there are several candidates, especially for the presidency, but they have only one slot. And definitely, if there are 8 candidates, the 7 of them will have to accept the results of the elections. And depending on how they have geared to accept, we are wishing to see that they look at Kenya above self. And the people that are out there, they should look at Kenya above self. And we, as an observer, would want to see a fair, free, and a good election that is not muddled with violence, that is not muddled with cheating, because we have guidelines, that is not muddled with corruption, that the staff are available, that the media is given space to play its role, and yes, that is what we expect to see.
You've been an election observer in countries like Zimbabwe and Tanzania. You observed in the country as well in 2013. How do you compare, say, Zimbabwe and Tanzanian elections to here? What are some of the lessons Kenyans can pick out of these particular processes?
Yeah, this one now, that question will bring me to the context that most often than not, people misunderstand the role of observers. But we observers, when we go to observe elections, we don't influence the results of the elections. Our role is to see and inform the subsequent elections, but also inform other partner states. But at times also we copy good practices from other countries, and depending on the government that we hand over the report, it's up to them to take our recommendations, implement them, see how they change their legal framework where they have to change, so that they copy the good practices. Of course, there are challenges in elections, different challenges wherever we go. I wouldn't want to give comparisons, but the fact is that when we make recommendations, they are intended to better election processes. Because election processes, according to a country, is guided by their legal framework. You have a constitution of 2010 in Kenya. But there is also an act of parliament that creates the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, 2015, which is mandated to do a lot of things, including guidelines on who is supposed to be in a polling station, what are the materials for polling, how many policemen are supposed to be where, how many distance from the polling station. time for beginning and time for closure, vote counting, vote tallying, everything, we have those guidelines. So when you go to different partner states, as you requested to know, you find guidelines differing.
Different.
So when we are writing a report, we say, no, the practice in Kenya is good. We wish that all countries could copy the voting election process of Kenya in this way. So depending on the country's adherence to what the observers say, they pick the good things, leave out the bad ones.
Well, you've mentioned that you have 60 observers across the country in 21 counties out of the 47. Which are these 21 counties, and how did you reach at those specific counties out of the 47?
I may not have them all on fingertips, but definitely we've selected the areas. As I told you, we sent a prior team in, way back in February to April to map out areas that are seemingly hotspots. And we have sent teams to places like Kisumu, Eldoret, Nakuru, Mombasa, Kajiado, Taita, if I could remember some of them. In Nairobi, we have representation, and other counties around the city. So 21 in number counties, and we expect each team in the 21 counties we've sent to be able to visit at least 15 polling stations.
So what is it about these 21 counties exactly that they were picked out for to be observed by the EAC Observer Mission?
We do a random sample. We do a random sample. One of the yardsticks I told you is we are interested to know in areas, for example, first of all, where the presidential candidates are coming from. We are interested to know how they behave and how the electoral process will be going. But we're also interested in knowing other areas, that not necessarily where the presidential candidates are coming from. So we've deployed in that context. And to us, 21 is because of the number, but we would have wished to go full blast in the 47. Right.
All right, finally, last words for Kenyans. We just have 3 days to the election. As an observer, what do you expect to see?
Maybe it would be a plea to Kenyans, people who are mandated to vote. It is your right. For us as observers are there to see that your rights are practiced and there is no infringement on anybody's right, as the African Charter on Human and People's Rights say. But we also have other statutory instruments that the Republic of Kenya has appended signatures to, which we will be also observing as to whether they comply to. They have appended signatures to the Treaty of the East African Community, and we also have to observe as to whether issues of governance, human rights are being practiced. But also the Constitution of the Republic of Kenya entails a lot about the electoral process. We shall also be looking out of that. The IEBC has guidelines to the electoral process. We shall also follow that. But also to mention, our head of mission has gone ahead, who is Right Honorable Professor Edward Rukumayo, has gone ahead to meet various heads of institutions and organs in this country to see how prepared they are to manage the electoral process. He's met with the Chief Justice of this country. He's met with the chairperson of the IEBC. He's making efforts to meet the candidates, the presidential candidates themselves, and other people. And basically, it is about to really see how prepared and how the Republic of Tanzania, Kenya, I beg your pardon, how they have prepared the election.
All right, thank you very much. And of course, 3 days to go. We'll see how that goes for us as a country. Bernard Mulengani Kisavangu is the deputy head of the EAC Election Observation Mission. He is